if I could give you just one advice for the last week of August 2026, it would be to be extremely intentional with where you are going and how you are taking action towards those goals. And welcome to Christensen Astrology with me, Victoria. Today we'll be diving deep into the messages from Saturn and Jupiter in this trine because they are very profound, and by you aligning to the astrological weather, you can really gain some insights and some opportunities that you could not reach before. So let's dive right into it, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. So first and foremost, we are talking about a fire trine here. We have Saturn in Aries, which is cardinal fire, and then we have Jupiter in Leo, which is fixed fire. And fire traditionally is connected to being hot and dry, to the yang element, and it's associated with elements such as activity, your life force, energy, your vitality, your ability to be assertive, and also your ability to take action and to manifest things. And the dominating energy in this trine is Jupiter. Jupiter is in good shape, but we can't say the same about Saturn. It's usually we are connecting Jupiter to being a great benefic and expanding, and also sometimes expanding on everything that we don't want, but it will be for a better outcome. Whereas Saturn is seen traditionally as a more malefic figure that creates friction and more of boundary, more of tests and trials. But there is a specific lucky element right now between those two, where they actually through this trine can reach a sort of common ground in where we are going and what is important to put focus on. And what I really like about this trine is that if we look at Saturn in Aries, we would think of limitations, boundaries, endurance, also sometimes establishment, because think again that Aries is the first sign, is an initiation, so something new has to be established. However, Saturn is in his fall. So again, Jupiter is the stronger planet here. But the interesting thing is, it is almost as if Jupiter is coming to Saturn and saying, hey, there is something that needs to grow and we need to figure out how to grow it. And then Saturn is saying, okay, but there must be another way, another structure, because the way that if we just let it grow without any structure, there will not really be a final end destination. And we need to sort of like talk about how to build a level of structure that is big enough to contain what Jupiter actually wants to show us. So think of it like this. If we think of the ocean in general and we want to have an element of the ocean, it's very different if we pour it into a cup or into a big pool, or if we pour it into a river. So it's almost as if Jupiter is saying, hey, you have been like pouring this energy into a cup, it's way too small. Now we need another structural container, maybe even a river, so that we can contain this giant abundance element that I want to give to it. And then Saturn is the man who builds the different roads, the different structures that is capable of doing that. So in other words, there is an enormous ability with these two right now to begin something that is able to come alive and be present in your life through the Saturnian structure. Also, for instance, if you're trying to build something and you don't have the right structure for it, it would be like building a tiny fundament for a giant castle. Well, that's just not going to happen because now the castle doesn't have anything solid to stand on. That's how you want to think about this. And depending on your personal birth chart and where this falls in your chart, you will be affected in different ways. I also find there's a different message here from Jupiter, because if we look at what he did at the end of July this year, he was opposite to Pluto, and he was saying to us, in order for you to keep moving into the next phase of your life and create what you know in your heart that you are capable of, you do need to close a very specific chapter of your life. And if you're curious about what that chapter is, you can watch my video back from 1 month back and see what elements, depending on your rising sign, that you need to close behind you. And this is so very important to emphasize, because there is not enough space if you haven't closed out this door for Jupiter to come in all his abundance and build this structure with Saturn. Another really uncanny thing to pay attention to in regards to this trine is that it's happening only a few days after the lunar eclipse we will experience in Pisces. And this lunar eclipse is not a light one. It is a one that is like flooding away everything. It comes with a highly Uranian charge, which I will go into in another video, and it's going to most likely have some very shocking effects on your personal life, particularly if you're someone who has a strong position of Uranus in your chart, or if you are, for instance, a Gemini Sun Moon rising, because Uranus is right now transiting your sign. And this Pisces lunar eclipse is just so highly charged. In my perspective, there will be, from Uranus' side, very strong emphasis on really being highly capable and able to lay down outgrown structures, things within yourself, your mind, your perception, the way you communicate, the way you see the world, also on the world stage in general, structures that can't hold the future, structures that are outgrown, structures that are trying to suppress for very too long a lot of people, and the people are seeing it, and the people are feeling that this can't be brought into the future. It's also this highly charged around how do we go forward with all this artificial intelligence. Are we going to extend humankind, or are we choosing love? Are we choosing connection? And are we choosing to use what we know for the good? And Pluto as well is here to say, hey, folks, we really need to pay attention to where we are going as a humanity, what we put our energy into, where we put our attention, and we will no longer accept to having our attention just stolen away from us for a useless purpose. And I think that there's a strong communicative aspects here as well, having a trine between those two, and having this Pisces lunar eclipse happening only a few days beforehand, where we will really feel the impact. We will feel perhaps some stir-ups, some elements of sudden epiphanies, because think that Uranus is also ruling electricity in many ways. Like, it's the thunder, it's the sudden shifts, it's this feeling that you are maybe in a dark room and suddenly there's thunder and you see something in that room you couldn't access before, and that dark room is Pluto. That dark room is your subconscious mind, the elements of your personality that you need to let go of, the elements of your psychology that is not working for you. And this is beautiful because it has elements of complete rebirth potential in it. And whenever there is a rebirth, there is also a need for a solid container, and that's where Saturn plays a beautiful role. Although, even though Saturn in his fall in Aries, it doesn't mean that it's not beneficial, because I pay first and foremost attention to that he's in retrograde, which I also did another video about if you're curious about what that means for you particularly. But it is a beautiful time for revisiting the structures that are not serving you, so that you can become conscious about them and leave them behind. And Jupiter is just boxing in full strength and saying, hey, let's do this instead. Let's build the foundation for a castle instead of building the foundation for a tiny little, tiny little useless house. And that is what I want you to be focusing on, and just wanted to give you a heads on about this energy so that you can start preparing yourself. And some things that I will highly recommend for you to spend the last week of August on, if you want to align with this energy, ask yourself questions like, what old structures have I built for myself that can't contain my future castle? What is needed for me to be able to have the strength and the courage to build something I can't see yet? And finally, can I be okay with sudden shifts and sudden epiphanies that might change the course of where I'm going? So that's what I will leave you with, guys, for now. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. This is going to prepare you a little bit for my weekly forecast that I will bring on here in a few days. And then you have the opportunity to also gain some insights about where this specifically will influence you in your chart. And I also promise to come on here with a forecast for this very epic, very interesting lunar eclipse in Pisces. So enjoy your weekend, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And finally, if you are very interested in knowing how this might play out in your natal chart, don't be shy, reach out to me, check the description box. I have different kind of consultations, I have recorded readings as well. And take care, and hopefully see you in another video. Bye for now.